There's nothing more appropriate for this 2023 LSU football season like having one last final nail-biter game against an unranked team. The LSU Tigers in 2023 with a 35-31 win over the Wisconsin Badgers, giving LSU a climbing hope of a more elite team next year now that head coach Brian Kelly has reached his 10-win goal. Now, there's a lot of layers to peel back with this bowl game and what the 2024 season will be looking like under the new LSU quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, or as some call him, the Nuss Bus. This is Camryn Conner, your host, and on today's episode, I'll be breaking down the 2023 RalliesQuest Bowl, but first, a message from our sponsor.
The East Baton Rouge Parish Library says this is the year to invest in the library. It brings value by connecting you to information, resources, materials, technology, and experiences, making a positive difference in your life. All you need is a library card. Stop by one of our 14 locations, open 7 days a week, or visit us online at ebrpl.com.
With an 11 a.m. kickoff, it's safe to say this LSU-Wisconsin game got my blood flowing right around 8 minutes left in the first quarter, when Wisconsin was the first team to score. And then with 30 seconds left in the first quarter, I was fully jumping off of the couch when Wisconsin scored another touchdown, leaving LSU 14-0 going into the second quarter. And while it was a slow start for the LSU Tigers, once it clicked, it clicked. Starting with the first touchdown for the Tigers coming halfway through the second quarter, linebacker Harold Perkins spiked hope for all fans across Tiger Nation. LSU went into halftime down to Wisconsin 21-14, came back from the locker room and went to work to end the season off with a 35-31 win over Wisconsin. Now, this was a great game to watch. There was so much happening all at once, and it was a huge game for multiple players on this team. Firstly, LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier had something to prove throughout this game to all of the fans watching and to his coaches that he is the next starting quarterback for LSU in the 2024 season. Nussmeier powered the 13th ranked LSU with 395 yards passing and 3 touchdowns to begin its post-Jaden Daniels era. We also got to see Malik Neighbors playing at the moment. He became the school's all-time receiving yards leader, beating Josh Reed with 3,003 yards. Brian Thomas, who's likely to opt out of the 2024 season to go into the NFL draft, finished the season with 2 touchdowns, his final one being the nail in the coffin for Wisconsin with only 3 minutes and 8 seconds left in the game. Now, like I said, Nussmeier had a lot to prove with this game. He completed 31 of 45 passes for 395 yards. He had touchdown passes of 14 yards to sophomore Chris Hilton Jr., and 38 and 4 yards to junior Brian Thomas, whose second touchdown, like I said, put LSU ahead with only 3 minutes and 8 seconds remaining. Nussmeier rallied the Tigers from a 14-point second half deficit to overshadow a career performance from Wisconsin's Tanner Mordecai, who threw for a season-high 378 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Badgers, who played without their star running back Braylon Allen. After Nussmeier hit Thomas to put LSU up 35-31, the Badgers had 3 minutes, or I could say they had more than enough time, to rally the Tigers' defense, and this is where it gets really interesting. LSU's defense, that's been mediocre at best all season, has stepped up with not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive sacks after being run over all game long, helping seal the Tigers' 10th win of the season. On 2nd and 2, LSU defensive tackle Jordan Jefferson stripped Mordecai for a 13-yard loss back to the LSU 32. Anthony pounced on the loose ball for the Badgers, but on the next play, Mekhi Wingo, who we haven't seen on the field since October 14th against Auburn due to a lower body injury, Wingo came back, made a diving lunge, and sacked Mordecai for another 10-yard loss on 3rd down after Mason Smith had broken through the Badger protection and forced Mordecai to flee up the middle. Then, On 4th down and 25, Greg Penn III strip-sacked Mordecai at the LSU 45, and Deshaun Womack recovered for LSU. I would say that was a good ending for LSU's defense coming in for the 2023 season. So now that the 2023 season has officially come to an end, it does leave a lot of questions up in the air for head coach Brian Kelly to answer. What's the coaching situation going to be looking like for this season? We know that Mike Denbrock has left LSU to go back to Notre Dame, leaving LSU with an open offensive coordinator spot. But I think the biggest spot that's on people's mind is what the heck is going to be going on with LSU's defensive coordinator position. What are Matt House's spring plans going to be looking like? Is he going to be getting ready for a 2024 season? Will he be house hunting? In press conferences, Brian Kelly has now alluded 3 separate times to coaching staff changes. There's something in the air, and if you're asking me, I'm really hoping it's going to be a new defensive coordinator that's going to be making his way to LSU football. And talking about positions being open, we've heard this rumor for weeks now. Brian Kelly leaving for Michigan, or is he staying with this elite LSU football team? I don't know if you guys remember, Kelly has dispelled this rumor by stating that LSU is the last stop on the Kelly train. After watching this final game and getting a glance at what LSU football will look like in 2024, I think it's safe to say that this offense will be safe in the arms of Garrett Nussmeier. There was a rough start to the game, but that's expected. Nussmeier coming into play after watching Jaden Daniels dominate on the field all season long and win a Heisman, and even more nerve-wracking that he hasn't even started in a football game since he was in high school. I think everybody expected there to be a slow start for Nussmeier in this offense. We won't know more about this 2024 season until spring practice starts, and we know where LSU's coaching staff lies, but what we do know is that this LSU offense was able to play under Nussmeier without offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock there. This LSU defense showed up whenever it was really needed, with the hopes of a better defense next season, with better probability of this happening due to LSU flipping defensive lineman Dominic McKinley from Texas A&M to LSU. McKinley is the number 33 overall prospect in the 2024 class and shows a lot of promise that if he does decide to come back home and play for LSU, that maybe this LSU defense will be a new and improved next season. And I'll be back after this message from our sponsor.
It's your time to make a greater impact. U.S. Army Reserve.
With only 243 days until the 2024 LSU football season, it's time for these guys to get to work and come out against South Carolina with a bang. In the meantime, the LSU women's basketball team will be going up against Missouri this Thursday, January 4th at 8 p.m. in the PMAC to open up their SEC play. The men's basketball team will be opening up their SEC play this Saturday, January 6th against Texas A&M in College Station. The LSU gymnastics team is also set to start their season this Friday, January 5th in the PMAC at 7:30 p.m. against Ohio State. So there's lots to stay up to date on with sports this coming week. Stay tuned into TigerRag.com's website for continuous updates, and stay tuned with me for more talk-throughs on what's going on this week. This is Camryn Conner, your host with Tiger Rag Audibles podcast. Thank you again to our sponsors. I'll be back with y'all later this week.